We get this from Ethan Klein. Hassan's best friend just outed as a freak. Lolo, more like uh-oh. Includes a tweet of someone saying that he's a person and harassing her in her DMs. Sorry, Hassan, you will need a new token Jewish sidekick to validate your hate. That's the messaging you get from Ethan Klein. So, Loloverruled gets outed as basically best harassing women in the DMs in Twitter and on Instagram. And instead of Ethan being like, wow, this is a bad guy, we can take this opportunity to talk about how women should be respected in DMs. Women aren't just objects for your desire, and take what they say to know that that's what they actually mean, not just ignore it, and learn how to take no for an answer. Like, let's treat women with respect and not just immediately send pics to them. Instead of doing that, Ethan Klein is like, oh, this guy's Jewish and he's Hassan's friend. Let's talk about how he's Hassan's token Jewish sidekick that validates his hate. What? Okay. So you get this from Ethan Klein. Obviously doesn't give a f about harassment. And you know how I know he doesn't give a f about harassment? Because on the same exact day, he's listening to Jimmy Lee, who he said he did cover for Jimmy Lee's harassment. And he's listening to him on a podcast, and he's reminiscing and wishing that he could somehow reconnect with this 68-year-old pervert that he did PR for on his podcast.
It was pretty viral on social media platforms, YouTube, and
I miss Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, he was a big part of the show for a long time. But
Although he quit us, right? We didn't quit him.
well, we kind of told him to fuck off.
Well, his
He
wife
was-
put the kibosh on it.
Huh?
His wife was like, no, we can't do this anymore.
No, you're forgetting.
You're forgetting.
You're forgetting.
I
a
do
big
forget.
part.
What happened?
He was being a creep to a bunch of girls backstage at our last live show.
Right.
And we confronted him on it.
Right. And then his wife saw that.
Yeah.
His whole family had a meltdown.
Well, he came here after too, and then we screamed at him, and we got the
He
portrait
crashed the
wall.
studio. He was
That I
on ice
remember.
because of what he did, and then he just showed up uninvited.
And his wife yelled at me.
And that was the
Wrong.
end.
Can we do a poll? How can we have him back on?
What the f? He actually asked for a poll to get him back onto the podcast? Dude, holy, he cares so little about harassment that the guy that they kicked off of his show for harassing people, he forgot about all of the harassment that he did. And now he wants to bring him back on. Holy shit, dude. Once again, Ethan doesn't actually give a f about anything that's bad in this world. All he cares about is if he can feel like he gets a win over one of his opponents. And once again, Hassan had like a perfect response to questions about Loloverruled. He's like, this is serious, this is legitimate harassment, this isn't just petty drama, this is an actual problem. Even though people might like Lolo in my community, you have to understand that what he did is like completely unacceptable and actually hold him responsible for it. And Ethan's like, he harassed a few women backstage at my event. I forgot about that. That was a long time ago. Can we do a poll to bring him back on? He's such a spineless coward, man. He won't even say himself that he wants to bring him back on. He's like, let's do a poll and see if the audience wants to bring him back on.
He's a creep, yes, but like, so is it like, you know,
You can have him back on when I'm gone. How about that? Trade?
it's like that, huh?
Yeah.
But is it like we know he's a creep, you know? That's
I think you're forgetting the details, honestly. He's
let me see.
because like always knowing Jimmy, he always gave creepy vibes.
They're saying he's forgetting the details when Ethan is saying, we know he's a creep. Let's just ignore that and like play into that. Remember that super funny bit he did where Jimmy Lee was bigoted towards little people? Then they brought on a little person, and then the hilarious bit was like surprising a bigoted person with the person that they're bigoted against. That was so funny, right? What can we do next? Bring on some underage high school girls for Jimmy Lee to harass? That would split my sides with laughter.
Vibes, but nothing was ever not that we really know, but then we found out.
I just feel like just because he's a creep doesn't mean he doesn't have entertainment value. You know what I mean? Can't, you know what I mean?
You do whatever you want.
Well, I know that.
Dude, the crew's actually kind of pissed off with him. There's no ability to read the room at all. So I think this is really funny. This Hassan clip, and I'll play it one more time, got reposted in the H3H3 Productions subreddit. And you can see like their community reaction to this. Let's play it one more time.
If it's related to Alex Lolo, then that's not drama. That's like straightforward creep. Okay, if that's what you guys are referencing as drama, you're a psycho. That's not drama at all. I mean, this dude apparently was all up and down being a f***ing pest.
So once again, I mean, look at the dichotomy between how Hassan reacts to basically someone that he interacts with, someone he considered a friend, being outed as a creep, versus how Ethan Klein reacted to that too. Hassan says, this isn't drama. This is real stuff. This is actual creep. And like, it's not something to just make content out of. Versus Ethan Klein saying, just because he's a creep doesn't mean we can't bring him back onto the show and make content out of him. Like literally the exact opposite viewpoints. For Ethan, it's all fun and games. It's all content. For Hassan, no, being a pest is a real thing that should have real consequences. Ethan just thinks it's part of Jimmy Lee's character, and he wants to like have this menagerie of freaks on his podcast, because we all know that he's not that entertaining, and so he has to either embed himself in this never-ending drama or bring on people that he can just make fun of and then sit back and make his audience think that he's some kind of like comedic genius. So you have that, which is a pretty like adamant rebuke of Loloverruled and his behavior, right? Then you have this. The OP says, in my opinion, he did a very good job addressing it and telling his community to not defend the creep. Credit where credit is due. I won't complain when the right thing happens. Then you have people being like, well, he doesn't hold the same standard towards others. Why respect it when it comes from him? The OP says, my opinion is based on the currently known information of the situation. If it is later shown that Hassan was aware of his friend was a creep, that would change a lot. I think this is possibly very similar to the Justin Roiland situation with Ethan. Interesting that they bring up Ethan being in relation to his past to talk about Hassan, right? Ethan was never aware to Justin's disgusting behavior and then disavowed him as soon as he was made aware. Okay. I don't know all of like the Justin Roiland behavior, but I mean, what kind of relationship did Ethan have with him? People are also comparing it to Andrew Callahan. Yeah, good on him for this. At least he can stand on business with this, 10 toes down. I'm glad he's not defending the guy and saying what needs to be said. Guys, you don't know this is a snark sub? Why are we all so reasonable? Hassan W, rare Hassan W. He'll gladly throw a friend under the bus, but not acknowledge his own wrongdoings. Like, okay. So, like, you get some people that are still just, like, mad and Hassan haters no matter what. But anyway, this is interesting to me, right? This is 672 upvotes, giving Hassan props for basically just, like, excising a harasser out of his community and being like, no, this is like real. This isn't just drama. Okay. A few hours later, you have this no to Jimmy Lee. I really hope Ethan sees all the pushback in the comments about him having Jimmy Lee back on the pod. He's a creep, not funny, and will just add fuel to the fire of the hate train against him and the crew. With peace and love. I was genuinely shocked when Ethan said, he quit us, we didn't quit him. Then they're like, I don't think Ethan really remembers what Jimmy Lee did, plus none of the crew members or Hila would ever allow Jimmy back on the show. The uncomfiness that will radiate if he came back on would genuinely make for some really good content, even if Dan would be miserable. Like, these people, they're so brainwashed, right? Hassan, he's like friends with a guy that turns out to be harassing women online. Immediately, Hassan's like, this is serious. Stop defending him. This is actually bad behavior that needs to be called out, and he needs to be held accountable for this. You have people seeing that and being like, wow, Hassan's still a horrible person, but I can appreciate him actually handling this in the way that he did. Then you have, on the exact same day, Ethan Klein going on his podcast reminiscing about his lost friendship with a guy that everyone else on the crew hates and despises for being a pest. But he's like, you know what? Maybe we should do a poll and have him come back on the show. And then they're like, no, Ethan, stop doing it. It's like, they're so close to getting it. They're so close to getting it, right? Ethan doesn't give a fuck about being a creep. In fact, he wants to make content about it. He wants to bring an actual like harasser onto his show and record it for clicks. That's what Ethan Klein wants to do. Versus Hassan actually takes like crimes seriously and harassment seriously, and specifically says this is not drama, this is not content for you to farm, this is a real thing. And then the H3 audience, of course, are in a total cult, right? They're like, well, Ethan's correct, but he's just wrong on this issue. And they're like, Hassan's like a piece of shit, but you know, he's good on this issue. It's just so funny, like seeing this dichotomy and the kind of cognitive dissonance between these two. Can we also talk about this? Hassan's best friend just outed as freak Lolo, more like, uh-oh. Sorry, Hassan, you will need a new token Jewish sidekick to validate your hate. This is after Ethan Klein just said, like, Hassan hates all of the Jews in the world. And then he's like, well, not all of the Jews. In fact, he only hates the Jews that disagree with him on Israel and Palestine. Okay, so then he's not, and you admit that Hassan's not anti-Semitic. You admit that Hassan just has like a difference of opinion with Zionist people, including Zionist Jews. That's definitionally not anti-Semitism. So anyway, when I talk about all men being spec, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like if people have power, they're going to be more inclined to use it and have like shitty outcomes, whether that be taking advantage of employees through like wage theft or unfair hours, conditions at a job, or whether it be, you know, using your power over someone, whether in a community or your employee, to like harass them. When people are in that position, they're more able to use tactics to get what they want, right? And so you're going to have more people like that are YouTubers harassing people than maybe someone who like works at a gas station and then just goes home after a 9 to 5. What is this? The Loloverruled situation is a direct result of leftists constantly shutting down conversations regarding misogyny and work. I don't necessarily think it's a leftist issue. It's an issue of like podcasters or someone who has a very intimate and easily accessible audience, and they have no qualms about trying to just troll that audience for interactions with their fans. Yeah, this one. The whole Loloverruled thing is gross, but I don't think there's a lower form of socializing than the apparently popular urge to tertiarily attach oneself to the drama, to say nothing more than the effect of, at least I'm here, I could always tell. Yeah, that's fair. And then a lot of bad takes, too. We have some people in this community, in like the online left community, kind of like defending this, right? They're like, oh, it's someone that I like. I'm going to find ways to poke holes at this. I'm going to find ways to downplay it. So you have stuff like this. Even if it is, at worst, he sent a non-consensual nude. I've sent my tits to Stabby, arrest me. That's not at worst what he did. At worst, what he did is he was harassing fans that looked up to him and basically like forcing unwanted encounters, whether it be over the phone or in person. It's still like pretty bad. He's not just like a random guy where you like open up Instagram or Snapchat and there's like a random pic there. It's like a figure of a community pressuring you to engage in this kind of unwanted behavior. That's what they're doing. So you have people like defending this a little bit, right? And they're like, oh, well, what are the allegations? Who specifically is accusing him of this? There's like stuff like that. There's people downplaying it. Oh, it's just, at the very worst, it's just like a non-consensual nude. Well, yeah, that's still pretty bad, right? But is it as bad? Like, I'm just reminded, is it as bad as how these people are defending Donald Trump for children? Like, look, it's a sex pest move to harass your audience members and send unsolicited pics and then be like, I can bury you if you refuse to engage with me. That's a sex pest move. There's another level of depravity. I'm comfortable saying that's a level worse. I mean, the priceless conservatives, man. Azealia Banks. I don't know if she's a conservative or not. I don't know if she likes Trump. but she's certainly defending Trump, the 14-year-old. Like, what the hell is going on here? So we have, like, once again, person on the left saying, I've sent a titty pic unsolicited. Loloverruled did something that's just as, like, meaningless and childish. Once again, like, completely ignoring social dynamics, completely ignoring the harassment that he did. It's not like he just went sent one pic, which would be bad enough, and then dipped. Did harassment. But then you have Azealia Banks, who's a rapper. I mean, you have this post, right? Mega has literally gone insane. This is her tweet here, man. Oh, God, I don't even want to read this.
Okay, in Donald Trump's defense, 14-year-old girls was really only made a social taboo in the 1990s.
That's not true. That's not true.
My grandmother was born in 1927 and had her first child when she was 12.
Sounds like your grandmother was statutorily... I don't know if your grandmother was in favor of that and really consented at the time.
Teenage pregnancy only become frowned upon with the rise of Jerry Springer, and I also can be honest about the fact that I was old enough to choose, seduce, and decide to grown-ass men when I was 15. I really don't get why women are fronting like they weren't 40-year-olds at 15. Like, come on now. I'm honestly not surprised or mad at Trump for getting some 15-year-old because those were the times.
In the 90s? Is she talking about like the 1590s, the 1490s, when it's still back then? You're talking about the 1990s? What the is going on, dude? This is... Oh my God.
Good night, USA, for ever. Now, if he was a 10-year-old, we have a problem. But if the girls were 13 plus, who cares? Move on.
Holy shit, dude. Holy shit. Is she mega? Azealia Banks endorses Trump. Azealia Banks says she regrets voting for Donald Trump. An absolute disaster. You know, they're gonna pay for Billboard. This vulture. Troll at large sure is entertaining. She's even right this time, however, if you're curious. So I'm thinking about this. For as stupid and incoherent Kamala Harris is and as trash as Walz is, and despite the fact that Kamala Harris is the only Democratic nominee to have actively campaigned in a primary, she really says a lot. Holy shit, man. She's a post. Oh my God, she's a poster. She's gone postal. Apparently she's a mega rapper. Rapper Azealia Banks says she regrets Trump vote. KTLA 5. She's been an avid supporter of Donald Trump since his first term sparked both compliments and criticism, wherein the 212 singer called the current Trump presidency an absolute disaster. He said, okay, I think it's time everyone who voted for Trump admit that we made a mess like this is an absolute disaster. What's her critique? He's so petty and vindictive right now. Nobody on earth is afraid of crazy old white man anger. All the white men need to reinvent the archetype because it's too predictable. Like, okay, absolutely crazy. Look, on the left, you have people that are like, oh no, my favorite YouTuber got outed for like harassing people in the DMs, right? They got outed for harassing people. Oh no, like, I don't know, like who specifically did they harass? Who specific, like what are the specific claims? Or, oh, he just sent a dick. Like, who hasn't sent a nude just unsolicited? This is like, you know, oh, everyone's done sexual harassment, right? That behavior is fine. So you have that on the left, and that's the worst of the left. Then on the right, you have people being like, like, yeah, he's a pedophile, but do we really want to like bring him down? Guys, I am never going to do ad reads on here, no advertisers, not going to be sponsored by dick pills or whatever. If you want to support my work, encourage me to live stream more, please consider joining the channel. You'll get access to early content, you'll get members only content, and your name will be in green. That's so good.